Somewhere in America right now, there's a town where the diner still serves meatloaf on checkered tablecloths, the gas station has one pump, and nobody's heard of DoorDash. But here's the twist. These places aren't tourist traps or theme parks. They're real towns where time genuinely stopped. And the economic reasons why? Nobody's talking about it. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, because every week we break down the American economic stories hiding in plain sight. On the surface, these might look like charming relics or forgotten postcards, but dig deeper and you'll see something darker. Economic stagnation, population collapse, and entire communities left behind by every major economic shift of the last 60 years. We're not talking nostalgia. We're talking about towns where the factories closed, the highways bypassed them, and the young people never came back. Today we're counting down 10 American towns frozen in the 1960s, from main streets that look like movie sets to economies still running on paper and handshakes, to places where the newest building is older than your parents. And trust me, number one is so untouched, it's like walking onto a Hollywood backlot, except it's real life. Why did time stop in these places? Simple. Interstate highways rerouted traffic away from Main Street America. Manufacturing plants packed up and moved overseas or shut down completely. Big box retailers killed local mom and pop shops. Young people left for college towns and never returned home. And without new money flowing in, without new businesses opening up, without new generations staying put, these towns became living museums. What you're looking at isn't preservation, it's economic paralysis. Welcome to the America that progress forgot. Number 10, Cairo, Illinois. This town at the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers was once called the gateway to the South. Today, it's a gateway to absolutely nothing. Cairo's downtown looks like someone hit pause in 1965 and walked away. The population has collapsed from over 15,000 in the 60s to barely 2,000 today. That's an 87% population loss. The median home price sits around $20,000, which sounds like a deal until you realize there are no jobs, no grocery stores, and entire blocks of abandoned Victorian mansions rotting into the ground. The main industry was river trade and manufacturing, both of which evaporated when interstate highways bypassed the town and factories closed. Walk down Commercial Avenue and you'll see Art Deco storefronts with faded Coca-Cola signs, boarded windows, and buildings that haven't seen a renovation since Eisenhower was president. Local historians joke that Cairo is so stuck in time, even the ghosts left for better opportunities. Picture this. You're standing on a corner where paddle steamers once docked, millionaires built mansions, and thousands of workers bustled through the streets. Now, it's silent except for the wind rattling through broken windows. The architecture is stunning, the history is rich, but the economy is dead. This is what happens when geography stops being destiny. Would you explore Cairo for a day? Yes or no? Drop it below. Number 9, Thurmond, West Virginia. This town will literally fit in your living room. And no, that's not an exaggeration. Thurmond once served as a booming coal railroad town in the early 1900s, and by the 60s it was already in steep decline. Today, the population is 5 people. Yes, 5. The entire downtown is now a National Park Service historic district because it's so perfectly preserved nobody's been around to change it. Main Street features a bank, a depot, and several buildings that look exactly as they did in 1960. The post office closed, the school closed, and the only thing that hasn't closed is history itself. Thurmond's economy was entirely dependent on the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway moving coal through the region. When diesel locomotives replaced steam and coal mining declined, Thurmond's reason for existing vanished overnight. Median home values are essentially worthless because there's no infrastructure, no services, and no reason to live there unless you're a train enthusiast or a hermit. Walking through Thurmond feels like trespassing on a movie set. The wooden depot still stands, perfectly intact. The bank vault is still visible through dusty windows, but there's no coffee shop, no Wi-Fi, no cell service. It's America in sepia tone, frozen mid-century and slowly fading. Picture yourself stepping off a train into absolute silence, surrounded by buildings that witness the rise and fall of an entire industry. Would you spend a night here? Comment below. Number 8, Body, California. Okay, technically Body is a ghost town, but hear me out because this place literally stopped in the 1960s when it became a state historic park. Body was a gold mining boomtown in the 1800s, and by the mid-20th century, only a handful of families remained. The state of California took over in 1962 and preserved it in a state of arrested decay, meaning nothing gets restored, but nothing gets torn down either. What you see today is a main street with saloons, general stores, a schoolhouse, and homes filled with furniture, dishes, and personal items, as if everyone just walked away mid-sentence. The population is zero unless you count park rangers. There's no electricity, no running water, and winters are brutal with temperatures dropping below zero. The economy, non-existent unless you count the tourism revenue that goes to the state, not the town. Body represents the ultimate frozen moment, a place where economic collapse happened so completely that preservation became the only option. It's eerie walking through homes where coffee cups still sit on tables, beds are still made, and store shelves are still stocked. Picture the loneliest main street in America, surrounded by high desert and haunted by the wind. This is what happens when the gold runs out and nobody has a plan B. Would you visit Bodie at midnight? Drop your answer below. Number 7. Hope, Arkansas. Yes, the town that gave us Bill Clinton, but also the town that time quietly left behind. Hope had a population of around 10,000 in the 1960s, and today it's barely holding at around 8,000. Main Street still features mom and pop shops, vintage storefronts, and a pace of life that feels lifted straight from mid-century America. The median household income is around $35,000, well below the national average. The median home price hovers near $80,000, which is affordable but reflects low demand. Hope's economy relied on agriculture, small manufacturing, and being a stop on the highway. When Interstate 30 was completed, traffic moved faster and stopped less. Local businesses that depended on travelers began closing. The Watermelon Festival and Clinton's birthplace bring some tourism, but not enough to spark growth. Walk through downtown Hope and you'll see the Saenger Theater, built in the 1920s and still operational, the kind of single-screen setup where the owner knows everyone by name. Diners serve blue plate specials, barbers still use straight razors, and the biggest controversy is whether the high school football team will make playoffs. It's charming if you're visiting, stifling if you're 22 and ambitious. Picture a town where everyone knows your name, but nobody knows your startup idea. Would you raise kids here? Let us know below. Number 6. Centralia, Pennsylvania. This town didn't just stop in the 60s, it started disappearing. Centralia was a thriving coal mining town with over 1,000 residents in 1962, the same year an underground coal fire ignited and never stopped burning. By the 1980s, the government began condemning properties and relocating residents. Today, fewer than 10 people remain. The population collapse is 99%. Main Street is mostly gone, consumed by sinkholes, toxic fumes, and the relentless underground inferno that still burns today. What remains looks apocalyptic. Cracked roads with steam venting through asphalt, abandoned foundations, and graffiti-covered highway sections. Centralia's economy was coal, and when the mine fire made the town uninhabitable, there was no plan B. Median home values are zero because the zip code was officially discontinued. The few remaining residents refuse to leave, clinging to properties the government can't legally force them from until they die. Walking through Centralia feels like exploring the set of a disaster film, except the disaster is real and ongoing. Smoke rises from the ground, the air smells like sulfur, and entire blocks have been reclaimed by nature. Picture a town literally burning itself out of existence, slowly, silently, for over 60 years. Would you dare to walk through Centralia? Comment yes or no below. Number 5. Lucas, Kansas. This tiny prairie town of under 400 people is so stuck in time, it's become a legitimate outsider art destination. Lucas hasn't changed much since the 1960s because there's been no economic reason to change. The median age is 50 plus, the median household income is around 40,000, and the main attraction is the Garden of Eden, a bizarre concrete sculpture garden built by a Civil War veteran. Main Street features grain elevators, a vintage diner, and storefronts that look like they're waiting for James Dean to walk through. The local economy runs on small-scale agriculture and quirky tourism. There's no Starbucks, no Target, no chain anything. The post office doubles as the social hub. Friday night football is the biggest event of the week. Lucas is what happens when a town is too small to attract developers, too remote to sprawl, and too stubborn to die. The result is accidental preservation. Walking through Lucas feels like stepping into a Wes Anderson film. Symmetrical, vintage, oddly charming, and slightly surreal. The world's largest collection of the world's smallest versions of the world's largest things is here, which tells you everything about the local sense of humor. Picture a place where the biggest economic decision in decades was whether to pave the parking lot. Would you spend a weekend in Lucas? Drop it below. If you're still here, you're now seeing what most Americans drive past without noticing. Entire towns that became economic amber. Wait till you see the top 4. One has a main street that's literally a national historic district because nothing ever changed. One banned chain stores, and one might actually still have a working soda fountain. Let's keep going. Number 4. Cody, Wyoming. Cody feels like the Wild West never ended because, economically, it hasn't. Founded by Buffalo Bill Cody in 1896, the town doubled down on cowboy culture and never looked back. The population in the 60s was around 5,000. Today, it's around 10,000, which sounds like growth until you realize the economy is still built on ranching, tourism, and rodeo culture that hasn't fundamentally changed in 6 decades. Main Street is lined with Western storefronts, saddleries, saloons, and trading posts that look lifted from a John Wayne film. The nightly rodeo runs every summer just like it did in 1964. Median household income is around $60,000, and the median home price is roughly $350,000, boosted by wealthy out-of-state buyers seeking authenticity. But for locals, the economy is still ranching, hospitality, and seasonal work tied to Yellowstone tourism. There are no tech startups, no corporate headquarters, no Amazon warehouses. Walk down Sheridan Avenue and you'll see hitching posts, wooden sidewalks, and shops selling bolo ties and cowboy boots. The Irma Hotel, built by Buffalo Bill himself, still serves guests in the same dining room used in the 60s. Locals wear Wranglers unironically, and the biggest debate is beef prices and water rights. It's a place where the past isn't nostalgia, it's business model. Picture sipping whiskey in a saloon where actual cowboys are sitting next to you, and you can't tell if it's dinner theater or real life. Would you live the Cody cowboy life? Let us know below. Number 3. Lovell, Wyoming. Lovell is a farming town of barely 2,500 people where the 1960s never really ended because nothing arrived to replace them. The economy runs on sugar beets, barley, and Mormon community values that emphasize self-reliance and slow change. Main Street has a Pepsi mural from 1968 that's still visible, a vintage theater, and storefronts that look unchanged for half a century. The median household income is around $50,000 and the median home price sits near $200,000. There's one grocery store, one hardware store, and everyone knows everyone. The high school is the cultural and economic center of town. Friday nights mean football, Saturday means helping neighbors with harvest, and Sunday means church. Chain stores avoided Lovell because the population is too small to sustain them. Fast food arrived late and stayed minimal. As a result, downtown still features family-owned cafes where the menu hasn't changed since Nixon was president. The Yellowstone drugstore still has a working soda fountain serving ice cream floats. Walk into any business and the owner is behind the counter, not a corporate manager. Lovell represents accidental preservation through economic isolation. Without highways, universities, or natural resources to exploit, there's been no pressure to modernize. The result is a town where kids still ride bikes without helmets, neighbors still leave doors unlocked, and economic life moves at the pace of the growing season. Picture a place where your reputation matters more than your credit score. Would you trade your smartphone for small-town simplicity? Comment below. Number 2. Marfa, Texas. Marfa is weird because it's frozen in the 60s but also became trendy because of it. This high-desert town of fewer than 2,000 people was a ranching and railroad hub that started declining in the 50s and 60s. Then in the 70s, Minimalist artist Donald Judd moved in, bought up buildings, and turned Marfa into an art installation. The result is a town that looks untouched: 1960s storefronts, vintage gas stations, and wide empty streets, but now filled with art galleries, boutique hotels, and hipsters paying $8 for coffee. The median home price has skyrocketed to over $200,000, pricing out locals. The economy is now art tourism, film production, and wealthy transplants, but the physical town is still stuck mid-century. Main Street features the same buildings, same layout, same aesthetic as 1965, just with different inhabitants. The Palace Theater still shows movies, but now it's curated indie films. The Paisano Hotel looks like a Western film set, and it is. Giant was filmed there in 1955. Marfa represents what happens when a frozen town gets discovered. Economic revival without architectural change. You get vintage aesthetics with modern prices. Locals call it gentrification disguised as preservation. The old ranchers and railroad workers are gone, replaced by artists and remote workers seeking authenticity they helped destroy by arriving. Picture sipping mezcal in a renovated adobe while mysterious lights flicker in the distance and you can't tell if it's art or UFOs. Would you pay big city prices for small-town vibes? Drop your take below. Number 1. Point Arena, California. Point Arena is the ultimate time capsule, a coastal California town of fewer than 500 people that looks and feels like 1965 on permanent loop. Main Street features wooden storefronts, a vintage theater, and businesses that have operated under the same family names for 6 decades. The population has barely budged since the 60s, hovering around 450 residents. The median household income is roughly $45,000, and the median home price is around $400,000, inflated by coastal California real estate madness but still reflecting a town with limited economic opportunity. Point Arena's economy was built on fishing, lumber, and being a stop on Highway 1. When industrial fishing declined and lumber mills closed, the town had nothing to replace them. Tourism is seasonal and minimal. There's no Whole Foods, no co-working space, no venture capital. Walk down Main Street and you'll see the Arena Theater, built in 1929 and still showing single-screen films with intermissions. The local diner serves the same clam chowder recipe from the 60s. The Arena Market is the only grocery store, family-owned, with wooden floors that creak. Residents include aging hippies, fishermen, and a handful of remote workers seeking escape. Point Arena is geographically isolated, perched on the Mendocino coast with winding roads and frequent fog, which keeps developers and chains away. The result is a town that looks like a Steven Spielberg film about small-town America, authentic, atmospheric, and economically adrift. There's no crime because there's nothing to steal. There's no traffic because there's nowhere to go. It's beautiful, haunting, and slowly fading. Picture standing on a cliff, watching the Pacific crash below, surrounded by a town that exists outside of time, not by choice, but by circumstance. This is what happens when isolation becomes preservation. Would you leave the modern world behind for Point Arena? Let us know below. Whether these towns are charming postcards or economic cautionary tales depends on who you ask. But here's what's undeniable. Every single one of these places shows us what happens when economic forces, globalization, automation, infrastructure investment, leave communities behind faster than they can adapt. These aren't just frozen towns. They're reminders that progress doesn't reach everyone equally. Some of these places are dying slowly. Others found new life through tourism or art. A few are just hanging on, waiting for anything to change. But what they all share is this. They show us what America looked like before Amazon, before the internet, before the world sped up. And whether that's beautiful or tragic, whether it's worth preserving or moving past, is the question we're all still trying to answer. If this opened your eyes to the America hiding in the back roads, hit subscribe because next week we're covering the U.S. cities that exploded in the last decade, the towns buying their way back from extinction, and the places where the 60s actually came back as a business model. This is World Economics Explained. See you in the next one.